Hey guys, how you doing? Fox Conquest episode 3. So in this game, I'm actually going to play as simple as I can. Yeah, basically I'm just going to try to focus on the big picture of things and where to play and things like that. So when your opponent responds to your 4-4 approach with a large enclosure like one of these two, it's usually common to enter the 3-3 point right away, because if white gets a chance to close the corner as well, then it's not necessarily better for white, but it's more like this is a way to kind of punish white. So I'm going to push here. I think Hane and connect would be also fine. Okay, so white is playing this way. White wants me to respond on this side so that they can then Hane here, and they wouldn't have to connect after, so they can immediately continue either on this side or playing another Hane. So I need to respond in the corner probably. And so one of the things I can do here is create a defect in white's shape by playing Hane, especially since the cut here wouldn't work right now for white. That's my first instinct here. Create some defects in the wall that white's getting. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I could also just descend. Later on, that would mean that black coming down would threaten to connect under. It's a tricky choice. So if I go here, white blocks, I connect probably, and then white needs to do something about the weaknesses. Okay, I'm actually going to play this one because I'm not worried about white pushing here. That stone is really easy to sacrifice, and if white's pushing along the second line, I don't really care. But at the same time, if I play here next, then it actually threatens to connect under. So white played Hane, and I'm going to also Hane to get the 2i space. Okay, and if white is to turn here soon, then that's going to be sente on the corner. So I'm going to push again, because when white blocks, I'm going to get a really annoying peep actually here. And after this peep, I can consider to peep again even. Okay, now this is interesting. So white didn't really need to do this now in particular. White chose this timing because it delays white having to connect. But the thing about that is, what if I cut here? If I cut here, it threatens to then cut here, which would be Atari. So that means that when I cut here, white can't respond and instead needs to just capture my 2 stones. But that means I can follow up on this side. However, even if I follow up on this side, maybe white can push enough and get liberties to kill the corner, because yeah, if white pushes, I wouldn't be able to block for a little while. So that's a nice idea, actually, cutting here as a way to counter white's counter, but actually I should respond. So that's fine, because even if white had connected before, later on white could have always exchanged this one, so I'm not unhappy about that. Now, I have 2 choices here that I see as good moves. I can go here, which threatens to connect under and delays me having to add a move to live in the corner. Or I could peep first, which might be particularly annoying. But if I peep, then white might fight back by pushing. Alright, I'm going to threaten this first because this reduces the variations white can choose. It keeps things simpler for us. If I connect to the outside, then I won't have to play a move here to live in the corner. Okay, so white plays Tanuki, and we can also play Tanuki here. And again, white is playing a large enclosure. That means that we actually have unconditional life here when we want to. Now, the question is when to play this. I'm not going to play this yet because white would get a big wall and extend this way, and it just seems a little bit early. I think what I'll do is close my own corner. Yeah, I'm just going to close this corner. This already cuts down the potential of the right side, so next if we invade the 3-3 here, it's going to be better, because even if white makes a big wall facing up the right, it's not going to give white that much potential anymore because of my stone here. Alright, so white approaches our enclosed corner. So one of the normal things to do here is actually to kick to block off the corner in sente. And when white extends up, you pincer. Another idea is just to pincer around here. I'm going to go ahead and attack this group. Okay, white extended away instead of reinforcing this one stone. But that's pretty bad exchange because now black gets to add another stone and the corner is going to be really big and really solid too. So the stone isn't doing too much. So yeah, I'm going to play the Hane on top. And since white reinforced this stone and has a very small base here, I'm going to attack the eye space like this and make my own territory as I attack. So this is what you'd call a checking extension, and yeah, basically putting pressure on a group that you're going to be attacking or invading in some cases. Alright, so white is making a second weak group now. So how do you handle this when, you know, it starts getting complex with a bunch of groups like this? Well, we have a few ideas. We can kick, attach on top, or play something like jump. So if we kick, we're creating another weak group and keeping it out of the corner. White will extend up. We should reinforce the corner. Otherwise, this probably isn't a very good variation for us to choose. Since white would be able to squeeze our corner in otherwise. And the question is, now that white has a stone here, can white capture this stone? The only way that could be possible is with maybe this diagonal. Okay, the simplest thing we can do here is simply to jump out with this group in the middle. If white doesn't add a move on this side, then this group here is going to be in big trouble. Okay, this is sente, so before we attack this group, we are going to respond to this. I think what I'm going to do is actually sacrifice and try to get sente, or at least a really good local result, and maybe have time to attack this group over here. After we seal off this group, and if it lives, we can then play on this side and get a really big potential territory. I'm going to Atari here, and then Atari on the other side, and then play a connection. I'm essentially giving away the corner, but the corner was always open for white to take anyways. Okay, so now I'm going to choose which side to connect. If we connect this side and white connects under, we also don't have much of a follow-up on this side. So I'm thinking this is the better connect because this does immediately threaten to capture these two. So if white captures this one, then we still have a forcing move here as well. And we could finish it off with this Hane. Even if white captures in this way, that means we have sente here and still we have time to cut white off. But we can also choose to take sente and attack this group over here, which might be a better idea. Alright, I'm actually going to take this moment to tanuki because even if black follows up on this side, we can still follow up on this side and get this block and Hane. And if white follows up on this side, then this Hane here is still sente and we can make some potential over here. So it seems very big right now to close this space off. So I'm just going to block off like this and force white to make two eyes, probably in Gote. And then we can decide what to do afterwards. We still have time to play over here. But I think white cannot afford to give up these stones. It's way too big. Alright, so white is threatening to get out while they make eyes. So I need to increase the liberties of this stone here. I think what I'll do here is play this way. Because even though I can get some cutting points in my shape, this way breaks white's potential eye here and makes things a lot harder for white, with no immediate problem for us. Alright, so white has one eye there, and we don't really need to decide what to do next at the moment. We have sente with this move or with this one, forcing white to play the other, and we don't really need to decide right now. So yeah, this is a decent time to tanuki. I do want to develop the side over here, but then we also have the situation over here, and if we allow white to continue, then that means the cutting point here also becomes more relevant, not to mention the Atari here. So if we strengthen over here, then yeah, it also helps these weaknesses. And plus, if white extends far this way, then the 3-3 invasion becomes pretty good for us, actually. So it is very tempting to extend along this side, but I think I want to continue over here. I think what I'll actually do is hane this side, because actually there's a lot more potential here than up here. And even if white, after saving these 3 stones, later if white, so white's going to play here, yeah. But even if white captures or plays Atari here, we can still block off with a move like this if we want to develop this area here. So that's totally fine. We could be solid and just play the tiger's mouth here. Probably a pretty good idea. Yeah, let's do that. Alright, so white is capturing this stone, no problem. We have a free Atari here. Now the question is, do we want to keep blocking it or do we not care? I think blocking here would be a good idea because of the cutting issues we have around here. Now we have a really solid foundation for getting territory out here. Alright, so white is diving in. And the question is, how do we attack? Well, step 1, don't freak out. Definitely don't play under white, like around one of these moves, because you're not gaining anything that way. You're just making white happy. And then white can just tanuki or run this way, and also make the bottom bigger too. Remember that because of the life and death of my corner, white can always play a move like this and force my hand to play here in the corner. So actually these 2 stones are not connected yet. But we also don't want to spend a move connecting because that seems really slow. So we're going to move out with these stones and threaten this 1 stone that way. And we're going to go for the long-term attack and not worry about being too vicious or getting any immediate profit. So one of the things we can do is actually to peep here. So this is maybe slightly better than jumping since, yeah, we're threatening to get a lot of points. And now the question is, how do you move out with a good shape? If you just extend here, one issue with that is that a white can actually poke at your shape and start making shape for themselves with moves like this. So I don't think just going here would be good enough. We need to choose a different kind of shape here. We can't really cap either because as soon as white starts moving in between, we're going to put our own stones in danger and white probably breaks out anyway. So I'm thinking one of these 2 moves. The thing about this move here is that if white pushes, then when you draw back, you end up with a fully connected shape. And the other nice thing about this move, although it is more complicated, especially if white comes in between like this, but if we play here and white pushes up, we have the option of maybe playing hane here. Things can get really complex, but this might be a little harsher on white than just extending along, or playing here and then just starting to jump this way. But one other cool thing to keep in mind here is that if we run out together with white this way, then if we play a move around here after, then this whole group here for white would become in danger. So I'm going to play here because another thing, if white comes in between here, then we can actually just potentially sacrifice by pushing down, and we would just capture this and get a whole big area over here. So yeah, I'm just going to stay connected like this. I don't think white gains really much from these pushes. And now we can just block. White's probably going to peep, but we can probably counterattack by making white heavier first, pushing like this. Since if white cuts, we would have had a ladder. But okay, white turned. So now we have 2 options really. Well, at least 2 that come to my mind first, which is hane and jumping here. Okay, so what to play now? It's pretty much one of these jumping moves. And yeah, I think this is one of the only moves that really makes sense here. We could hane, but we would get cut and it's a little bit dangerous. Interesting. White's playing here, but this isn't particularly a vital point or anything that I can see. This wall is pretty strong and it has room on the side too, so there's no need for a local response here as far as I can tell. You definitely want to check around here and see what's going on, but seems like a mistake to me. I expected white to attach here or come out this way in some fashion. Maybe extend and threatening to push and cut here. So this is our chance to continue on this side. So If we play here, it's a pretty good shape for us, and now there's no more way for white to actually attack us. White lost that chance, so now it's simply us attacking white. So white is playing like this, but white is starting to get into some really serious danger here. First of all, there's an exposed vital point here that we can attack with. Second, if we hane here, what is white going to do? And another thing is if we cap here, and even if white comes in between, we can just play a knight's move and not worry too much about those cuts. So yeah, there's a lot of problems for white.
9, 8, 7.
Alright, I think what we'll do here is take the vital point, which also serves as a peep to threaten to cut. So white connected and made some bad shape as we wanted. We don't really owe any moves on this side, and going after this stone to cut this one off is not big enough. Don't worry about that. Attack the whole thing, okay? So what we're going to do now is play this capping move. We have pretty good shape here, and it's easy for this group to find two eyes. So even if white came in between here, we can just play a double knight's move. So white attaches here. We can hane because we don't need to worry about this attachment next, because even if we hane and white attaches, we can still cut here, and white can atari here, but it doesn't really amount to anything. So yeah, we can...
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
Yeah, we can just hane here. Alright, now this is a good move to break the shape a little. And that's fine, we just block. This game might end a little early. When they play this kind of thing on you, just keep in mind that you don't always have to block directly. You could also extend down like this, which actually increases the liberties of the important stone. So... yeah, we can just extend down and nothing really happens. So white's connected, but not with two eyes. So it's one of these two moves I want to play next.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
I think this is fine. Even if we don't kill this group, it's also fine. White plays here, so we need to make sure white can't connect up to this one, and make sure these cuts don't become a big problem. It still looks tricky for white. I'm not sure what white can do, but I'm going to add a move because we don't really need to take any big risks here. So I extend here, and if white tries to push through, then we just go down with white, and it ends up putting these into Atari. White pushes, and if white cuts, we do have a few different cutting points of our own to worry about. Although at this point, it would be irrelevant, and we could just let white capture this one, right? But I'm also thinking of just playing here, and if white comes out, we just seal it off anyways.
6, 5, 4.
Doesn't really matter even if white comes through. We can just seal the whole thing off. This cut here doesn't matter too much because this group over here is actually quite healthy. And this pushing isn't going to do anything either. Not only can we Atari these 3 stones, but then at the last moment we can still block here. If I didn't play here, then white could get this hane and sente. But by not playing hane myself, I avoid giving white eye shapes for no reason. Like if I played hane, then white could hane back, and I would presumably connect after. And even if white still has trouble getting 2 eyes, but it seems like we're giving white some potential eye shape this way. So better to just descend. And if white blocks, you jump here, and if white plays around here, you push in from here. Nice and simple. Keep it simple. Just push in. At this point, even letting our lower left corner die, depending on what happened, was fine too, because the group that we're capturing is so big. It's good to stay focused on exactly what's happening and don't worry about anything else, because you can sacrifice. You can always sacrifice. You can always let your territories get obliterated and your groups get captured. As long as you're gaining more somewhere else, it doesn't matter. Even if our whole corner got captured here, the game's over if we capture this dragon. All right, so we don't actually have to respond to this because I don't see a way for white to get 2 eyes, but
7,
if we just keep it simple, we can break the eye like this. Now we can see that it's a good thing we didn't exchange this move to make white play here when we were threatening white's eyes, because if white had a stone here, then that would have potentially complicated things a little bit, right? Probably still would have been fine, but you know, if white has 2 moves in a row here, then at least it could feel like white has some hope of capturing this black group over here. But yeah, it's good to leave your options open. I'm going to Atari once on this side to make white a little bit heavier, more invested. And then I'm going to save the 2 stones, since I could see that we're still okay for liberties over here. Alright, so there's a double Atari coming up here, so we're just going to connect. And if white plays anything more over here, we can just play ladder on this stone. If white extended here, we could just play a net there. But since white's playing here, I'm not going to spend any more moves here for now. I'm just going to ladder, nice and simple. No more danger. If white plays one more move on this side, then we can just seal the deal for good by connecting under here. Alright, this is sente. I'm going to make the group a little heavier first, make white invest more. White can't cut right now because I would just Atari like this. And if white blocks, then I have a lot of options. I can even cut here. So now that white has added a stone, if we connect, or if we connect here, then white's going to feel the need then to maybe block this off in Gote. Question is, can we keep pushing? Well, if we push again, then if white cuts, we hane, and yeah, it looks like we still can.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
So I'm going to push one more time. White still can't cut. And if white blocks, now at least there's 2 defects, which can become a problem for white later. Okay, so now we do have to connect. White is going to block here. And now we do have a couple of options. We can connect under here and be perfectly fine and game over. Or we can continue out here because this group for white out here is actually in quite a precarious position here. But the thing is that if white plays over here, it's actually sente on our corner. So we're just going to keep it simple and make everything all connected and alive, and no more chance for white to turn the game around. If white played here and we played again elsewhere, then white could capture our corner by simply playing hane and then placing a stone here. after the hane and then placing a stone here. No matter where black plays here, here, or here, white can connect here. You can try working that out yourself as a Go problem, set up the position. Alright, so white plays here, and this somewhat connects everything. Black can actually still move out in various ways here. But we're all connected here, so this isn't sente or anything. We can play anything we want now. If we care about white's potential here, then there's a lot of things we can do, and one of them would be to just hane here, or come out like this.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last Byoyomi.
I'm going to play the hane here because it helps us cut down on white's potential. But I was also thinking of entering the 3-3 here, or just extending around here. I think any of those would be fine, honestly. Alright, so white is investing more in this little group here, so now we can have some fun. So we can just connect here, and this is already going to give white a lot of trouble. This white group here is pretty much just a liability at this point. Although maybe I should have pushed again this way to get more liberties with these stones. That way if white cuts, I would be able to just capture in some way, but this is fine too because white is short of liberties right now.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
If I just connect here now, white is not able to cut us anymore, so we're actually connected. If white cuts, we Atari and these are captured. So that leaves white to play a move like this to fix this shape. But ultimately this group just became a burden for white because it's not actually doing much, and now once white plays that, we can actually move south and destroy more of this area. And probably finish in sente because there's some threat of cuts and things around here. Alright, so white did not connect. That means at some point we might be able to cut here. But right now it's dangerous because if white pushes and we extend and white pushes again, then there's going to be double Ataris out here. So we can't quite cut directly. Or we can, but we would have to let white bust out with us here.
8, 7,
But then white would be able to run out this ladder.
4, 3, 2, 1.
So yeah, we can't actually cut here right now. There's too much danger because of the situation over here. But this is something we can just leave here and let white worry about. It's not worth it yet to peep here because it's better to preserve the possibility of cutting there. Because after some things change around here, then that cut might work perfectly fine. And, you know, we'd be pretty happy if white spends a move to fix the cut, right? So yeah, it's better not to peep there and keep white nervous about it.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
So I'm playing here because even though I'm making a bad shape, being able to get this Atari here means that we can cut here. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and Atari right away. And now this cut should work perfectly fine for us. So we still can't block here because of some double Atari issues. But what we can do is just take these now. Even though white is able to run out this one stone now, it would cause this group here to die. So yeah, there isn't too much white can do, but just maybe Atari here and then Atari here. And let us take this one, but get out in sente. Alright, so white is trying to pull this out, but the problem is that we have a very simple sequence here. After white extends away, we can simply turn here and we capture all these. Now we just extend and these two are captured. White has to run around now with this lumpy big group that isn't doing anything. And we're going to get even more profit from that. Even if we don't try to capture this group, we can easily make all of this side into solid territory instead. So yeah, we have a lot of options. But the game is like long over now, so white pretty much should have resigned at this point. Alright, so white pushes here, and yeah, we have two avenues to choose. So we can play something like Hane and make some territory, or we can chase him down like this and try to capture everything. I'm going to show you guys the peaceful route. It seems like we might be able to capture everything if we just played down this way, but then we're going to get enough points anyway from this. So let me just show you one really nice way to continue that doesn't involve killing white. So we can't double Hane here because white could Atari and then capture all these.
8, 7,
so
6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
We're just going to extend down. White's probably going to Atari or peep here. I think peep looks better. Or that. We still need to fix our liberties.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Just going to extend down. And if white still blocks, then we can just invade the 3-3. And white becomes really inefficient with, yeah, the stone's not really working too well to make territory. We could also just separate everything. If white cuts here now, we can simply play a ladder, so there's no issue in here anymore.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So this is going to be nice and simple for us. Even though we're pretty much helping white to connect up and get safe, but you know, we're going to get all the territory in the corner, and white gets barely anything for all these stones. So yeah, here we just simply play a ladder. Alright, so white is going to try to capture everything. The problem here is that white is quite vulnerable with this giant stick group here, so it's going to be really easy for us to play. First, we push through here and make white kind of lock in their decision. Now, because white already has 2 cutting points, it's really easy for us to play, actually. In fact, I'll show you a really simple way to continue that still doesn't involve trying to capture this.
7.
We can just push. So white is adamantly taking away our eye space, but the problem is white's not alive here at all. So now we're just going to Atari here. And now we can just do, I mean, a number of things. We can play this. I think what I'll do first is see what white does against this peep. I don't really care about the stones over here. Alright, white responded. So now we're just going to play, yeah, something here. This shape looks nice. I think white would die with this shape. Let's play this one. White's obviously playing unreasonable now, trying to turn the game around, so we can just let these 3 stones go if need be, and just focus all of our efforts on capturing this group now. It's pretty straightforward from here. White tries to play this. We block. White gets this Atari in, but then And maybe even this Atari in, we capture. But then white still has to save these stones before white can play on this side. And so after white saves these 2 stones, we just play down like this, and we're going to be able to win the capturing race. Okay, white played up like that.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
First, I just want to see what white does in response to this.
Nine, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
I made this a bit more complicated than it needed to be, but still looks totally fine. White can capture these 2 stones, but it is only 1 eye. And even if we do let this white group live at the end, we still live as well. And we weren't originally trying to capture, we're just trying to get the corner. So as long as we're careful, it's difficult to really go wrong here. I did make this more complicated than it needed to be for sure, but looks okay still.
4, 3, 2, 6.
Alright, white plays there because they want to cut here, so we just connect. White's jumping all the way to here, but the thing about this is we don't actually care about these 3 stones if it means capturing this big thing here. So we're not going to just defend, we're going to attach here. We can, in fact, go down. If white wedges, we Atari, and then we just take this 1 stone. So we might as well do that. Even if white plays a squeeze, like wedge, we Atari, white Ataris, we take, white Ataris, we fill. There's still no liberty gimmicks that white can do, nothing that I can see. But those are definitely things you'd want to read out.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Alright, so white is cutting, but this doesn't really work because we can just Atari here and then Atari there. If white double Ataris here, we just take, and doesn't really matter after that. We do have time to block here instead of taking. I don't see any special gimmick white can do. If white Atari's there, we take, and if white tries to Atari us with this, we are able to just take this one as well. So black has 2 eyes now, more than 2 eyes. Alright, game over. Alright guys, so that wraps up today's episode. I've got a Discord now for Go and other games, which you can see a little bit of over here. If you're interested in joining the Discord, you can find the link to that in the description below. Slap that subscribe button for more, and as usual, stay safe and keep sente.